We're going to be looking at 15 sneaky starts for week 3. We're looking at players who are going to exceed expectations and surprise us this week. We're going to go game by game, matchup by matchup, and find that player who's just going to skyrocket and surprise us. Most of these players are not going to hit, but these players are guys that we're looking at the end of our bench or on the waiver wire as we're struggling to fill out our flex. We're just struggling right now. And if you're not struggling, this may not be for you, but some of us have to start some jabronis. And I'm the only guy out here helping you with the jabronis. Most of these guys are not going to hit. That is not the purpose. The purpose of this video is to find you a jabroni that has some upside that could surprise you on Sunday or even Monday. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. I'm the only one trying to find you a jabroni that starts. I'm helping you with the waiver wire extensively every day throughout the week. Not just one random video. It's extensively. Also with the deep dives with the You Need series. And on top of that, I use these videos kind of like this one, and especially tomorrow with the must start, to help you set your lineup. Click that button. Stop missing out. But A.D. Mitchell, he's not a jabroni. He's a good prospect. Week 1 could have been a huge moment for him. And Anthony Richardson missed him on 2 balls. Thing is, he's an air yards guy, which means he gets deep targets. All he has to do is bring in one on any given matchup. It doesn't even matter the matchup because he is stretching it downfield and that target just has to go to him. 1, 2. Now, if the matchup's grand, like if the over-under total is pushing 50, then you're looking at him more. It's at 43. It's against the Bears. They've been in weird game scripts. This game script is probably going to be weird considering both these teams. They kind of get in weird game scripts. So things are probably going to be weird in this game. Which means if you're thinking about in that light, it could lend to a game where A.D. Mitchell starts flashing a little bit. He flashed a little bit in week 1 if you watched it. He was open downfield and got overshot. That's the part of these deep ball guys. They get overshot sometimes. They're air yard city. Air yard city with A.D. Mitchell. You may want to chase that if you're looking for somebody to start. Bucky Irving. Now, he's a running back 1B. I wouldn't say handcuff. I say 1B. He's getting touches. He's getting an opportunity. But really not enough to go over the moon. But we're also looking at the Denver Broncos here. We're looking at a game script where the Bucs might have the lead heavy. Going into the 4th quarter, they might be running the ball a little bit more. He's going to get some work in the passing game. I look for this to be an ugly, low-scoring game to start things off. I look for the Broncos to really be slow, like always be methodical. Eventually, the Bucs are going to take over, or they should. That's really what the spread's saying that with the 6.5. 41 over under. So it's not in the 30s yet, but this is going to be a slower game. This is going to be a low-scoring game. Bucky Irving might get some opportunities in the 3rd and 4th quarter. Gus Edwards against the Steelers because he's getting touches. 11 carries in week 1, 18 in week 2. We got a 36 over under. Steelers defense is tight. It's hard to find a sneaky start with this matchup because we know where the targets go because there's not many players to target in this matchup. You could say Ladd McConkey, but I don't feel like he's a sneaky start. I feel like he's kind of a must start because the Steelers give up a lot of yards to slot receivers. But Gus Edwards, people are sleeping on him a little bit because he's going to get pounded up the gut. He's going to get opportunities, and he could fall across the goal line. Elijah Moore, a huge sneaky start. If you're really hurting, or if you're in a deep league, this is for deep leagues too, especially. Elijah Moore is getting work. He's getting opportunity. Almost as much as Jerry Jeudy, but he's not getting the deep targets. He's getting the short targets. He's getting moved around, but targets are going his way. He has 14 targets on the season, averaging 7 targets a game, 18% target share, so he's pushing a 20% target share. Last year, he had games where he was over a 20% target share. He had a run of a bunch of games where he had over a 20% target share last year, and he's still getting those targets, those short, quick targets. And the Browns, due to Deshaun Watson, love him or hate him, he's putting them in weird game scripts, and these wide receivers are getting workload but not scoring fantasy points, and eventually that's going to break, and they're going up against the Giants where something's going to break. Something's going to break in this matchup and be weird, and it could be Elijah Moore. He's not going to get this workload and go a full season without scoring touchdowns. That's not going to happen, and he's catching a few balls a game on top of that. Think about it in those terms. So he's a gamble, but you're gambling anyways looking at this video and looking at these players. Low scoring game projected by Vegas. 39 over under. Should be like that. It's a Browns game. But Elijah Moore getting targets, getting opportunity. He's sitting on your waiver wire. He's not a must start. Only if you're hurting. Tyler Boyd. And he is getting workload. He's got 5 catches, 44 yards, but 12 targets. He's getting 6 targets per game. He's got a 21% target share. Anybody getting a 20+% target share sitting on your waiver wire, look at them, because it just matters on the matchup if they hit or not. And if it's a high-scoring game, then that player is more likely to hit. Unfortunately, we got a matchup here with the Packers, 38 over under. It's projected to be a low-scoring game. There's rumors that Love might come back. I don't know about that. I'm not trusting it, but we'll see come Sunday. But again, you're hurting. You need a wide receiver who's getting targets. We got a 21% target share sitting here looking right at you. 6 targets per game. Might get something like that. You may want to look at Tyler Boyd. Jalen Nailor. He's trendy right now, but also he's not super hot right now. He's caught 5 balls on the season. Only has 4 catches on the season. He's going to get a lot of workload. Ran on 100% of the routes last week. We're playing against the Texans. This game script might get pushed. We got a 46 over under. Vegas is saying, hey, this game script might get pushed. So there might be extra volume in this offense. Jahan Dotson, he's out there running routes. We're seeing a snap increase from week 1 to week 2. Mainly because of A.J. Brown. But we're also playing the Saints this week. And this ball is going to be flying. And that means there's going to be more opportunities. They're going to have to get the ball out. And that may mean some targets going to Jahan Dotson. Chuba Hubbard. Because this backfield split, the Panthers suck. And Chuba Hubbard's now in the sneaky start category instead of the must start category. His touches are ramping up. They are splitting the touches more than what a lot of people thought with Miles Sanders. And I said that going in with that you need video on Miles Sanders, not saying to pick him up, but to watch his backfield. And Chuba Hubbard might be able to run on the Raiders. The Raiders might be able to give up some yards to these running backs. And maybe it's a Miles Sanders game, but Chuba Hubbard's more likely due to the touches and workload and opportunity here. So look for him as a sneaky start with your lineups. Jeff Wilson's back, so look at him against the Seahawks. The targets on both teams and the carries are concentrated, so it's hard to pick out a true sneaky start. But Jeff Wilson's back. Nobody's really talking about that. So he's a guy you may want to plug and play with to play with your lineups. Jauan Jennings is going to be running a lot of routes, getting opportunities with Debo out. With those opportunities, that could lead to some fantasy production. He had 5 targets in week 1, 4 in week 2. So there is workload there, even with Debo on the field. Greg Dortch had a big week 1 and a slow week 2, but we're in a matchup here with the 51.5 over-under against the Detroit Lions, who has allowed some fire game scripts to these wide receivers. And that being said, Greg Dortch getting to work in the slot, that means he's going to be getting some targets as they concentrate on Marvin Harrison Jr., and that could lead to some fantasy production. Greg Dortch is a good wide receiver to look at this week. Jalen, Tolbert's getting more work. He's running more routes. Trendy waiver wire pickup, but you're looking at this matchup, it's kind of iffy because it could break. It could break with both these teams because they're both kind of weird in their own way when you look at their offenses, but they both got stout defenses. But Tolbert saw 9 targets in week 2. He's seeing a 15% target share right now, with CeeDee Lamb seeing a 24% target share. He's getting targets downfield. He does have some upside week to week. He's also got some downside week to week. Ray McCloud, this looks like a matchup where he gets targets. Kirk Cousins is targeting him, and also it's against the Chiefs. They're locked down on the perimeter. They're locked down on the big-name wide receivers. It's a tough defense to move the ball on through the air. So that means the Falcons, much like the Ravens in week 1, are probably going to try and get the ball out quick. And who are they going to do that with? Ray McCloud in the short to intermediate part of the game, just like they did with Justice Hill, just like they did with a lot of other wide receivers, just like they did with Isaiah Likely. Just that short game, getting out, bam, 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 just trying to take advantage of the Chiefs as they're locking down their main squeezes. Ray McCloud could be a sneaky bet this week. And we're looking at Keon Coleman versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, because he had a good week 1, a bad week 2, wasn't really doing much, but the Bills honestly has not been throwing the ball much. We don't have a wide receiver on this team that has amounted 10 targets yet. This passing volume has been low to start off the season. The first half, in the first game, we only had 2 pass attempts. And then after that, they ramped things up just a little bit. So there's not a lot of volume. That Miami game went fast because they were running the ball a lot on both sides. That being said, we got Jacksonville. and we might see this game script push a little bit, but it also could get a little bit ugly with that Jacksonville defense. We could also see Keon Coleman and Brian Thomas Jr. battle it out for the deep balls. That could be a fun matchup with the rookies, but Keon Coleman might bring in a deep ball or two and something to look at. Mike Gesicki, he's running routes, he's getting targets, he's getting opportunities, he's playing against the Washington Commanders. He might see some soft zone. He might get some targets over the middle, might get that touchdown catch. He's not locked to do something this week like all tight ends, but he's locked to see some workload and see some opportunities. But those are 15 sneaky starts for week 3. Let me know what jabroni player you're looking at for your lineup right now. Click that subscribe button. Stop missing out. I'll catch you on the next one.